The P. Diddy scandal has finally uncovered just how dark and twisted those in control of our culture really are.
It is actually kind of crazy how many, like, our favorite celebrities, actors, and actresses went to these P. Diddy freak-offs.
Most disturbing sex parties ever recorded, sleepovers with a teenage Justin Bieber, funding and controlling your favorite celebrities, hosting his own Love Island where he took people off the radar.
I got an island, it's called Love Island. When you going off the grid with me, you gotta go to sleep for a week.
Freak-off parties, whilst also allegedly taking down some of the most iconic musicians in the industry. The P. Diddy situation is truly disturbing, and now that he's in custody, only time will tell what's gonna.
I can't wait for all the official stuff. I mean, not that I can't wait, but like I just can't. Like, it's sad, obviously, and fucked, but like it's gonna be crazy once the story comes out, because there's a lot of like rumors and fake shit coming out, a lot of real shit mixed in. Like, you don't know what's real and what's fake right now, but
gonna happen next. But the fact that this has been going on secretly behind the closed doors of the Hollywood elite for decades shows just how well covered this truly was. But now finally, the truth is unraveling in front of our very eyes. P. Diddy needs hardly any introduction. Before he was infamous for his crimes, he was at the top of society. He rubbed shoulders with some of the most powerful celebrities.
I've seen so much on the internet, but I haven't even looked into like the real like stuff yet.
In the world. He knew everyone in the music industry, from Jay-Z, Beyonce, Snoop Dogg, to Biggie Smalls, and even Justin Bieber. However, this recent case has exposed how truly twisted the celebrity elites truly are. The investigation began initially in November 2023 by Sean's ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Cassie Ventura. She accused him of misconduct and filed a lawsuit.
I saw the hotel video. Hell yeah, Osby. I saw the hotel video where he like was beating her ass and like dragged her down the hallway as she tried to run away, and then they couldn't charge him because it was statute of limitations had ran up, and then tried to sue him like through civil court, and they settled.
And P. Diddy then settled out of court the very next day, and one of his lawyers, Ben Brafman, was clear that it was by no means an admission of wrongdoing. P. Diddy then released a statement wishing Cassandra the best in order to further support the idea that he was innocent. But guilty or not, it certainly left a stain on his name. Cassandra then released a statement thanking her friends and family for their support, and the settlement amount was left undisclosed. It seemed to be a case closed, done and dusted job, or at least that's what he thought. Little did P. Diddy know that this would be the beginning of the end for him, and would start the ball rolling with many accusations and investigations that would lead to his demise. A further 2 lawsuits were then filed, with accusations of abuse and sexual assault by 2 other women. Joy Dickerson claimed that in 1991, when she was just a 19-year-old college student, P. Diddy had drugged her after a date and sexually assaulted her in her home. Lizzie Gardner was the next victim to come forward, claiming she and a friend were drugged and put in separate rooms where at first, P. Diddy and then Aaron Hall would do awful sexual acts against her. She then found out her friend had the exact same treatment as well, as it seems like they both took turns doing these awful crimes against these girls. Lizard was just 16 at the time, and then a few days later, P. Diddy pitched up at her house and assaulted her again, this time choking her until she passed out, as he was irritated at the thought that Lizard might mention this to his girlfriend. Then in December 2023, another person came forward with more accusations aimed at him. She claimed that she had been gang raped and sex trafficked. She said that Harvey Pierre, who was the president of Combs Bad Boy Records, flew her from Detroit to New York in 2023. However, while with them, a third man joined P. Diddy and Pierre and raped her. P. Diddy even complained that he couldn't finish until he had his nipples
I believe
The suit included a photograph from the night in question of her sitting on Sheen's lap. She was only 17 then, and was now the 4th woman to come forward in just a matter of weeks. This time, P. Diddy did not settle out of court. In fact, he issued a statement on his Instagram saying, quote, "Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of these awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth." But there were several red flags hinted by friends of P. Diddy, particularly in Usher's interview with Howard Stern, where subtle suggestions indicate that these new allegations were possibly founded as far back as 2016, back when the interview took place, as Usher described his experiences when he lived with Sheen Coon for a year, and said he was exposed to some very curious things, but at that age he didn't understand it.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
We're sending you
New
over
York
to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
camp.
was called. Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
Nah, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle. I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
It's only now that it stands out because it
Damn.
further supports the allegations. When Howard asked Usher if he would allow his own son to participate in the Puffy Flavor Camp, as P. Diddy would call it,
Puffy
Usher
Flavor
didn't
Camp
hesitate to
sounds
say no.
scary.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
In a Rolling Stone interview with Usher in 2004, he elaborated on his experiences with living with P. Diddy. He said there was always girls around. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was going to happen. With this in mind, it wasn't that surprising that by February 27th, 2024, the producer of P. Diddy's album, The Love Album, sued P. Diddy for $30 million for sexual assault. He claimed that he was
What
also
the
drugged
fuck?
and woke up in a bed with 2 male sex workers and Mr. P. Diddy himself. His lawsuit included P. Diddy's son Justin, who he claimed would bring underage girls home and then drug them, while his
Oh
dad
my
secretly filmed
God.
these sexual acts. Although an adult film actor called D'Angelo Knockout Marquise claimed that one of the photos used in the lawsuit was actually a still from one of his films. Although perhaps discredited, where there's smoke, there's fire, and P. Diddy was now desperately trying to put the fires out as more and more took to flame. P. Diddy actually admits that he
That's
did document
nuts.
everything in his life, so any sexual male acts could have easily been caught on tape, and the fear of that exposure will keep some from coming forward as well. Gene Deal, P. Diddy's former bodyguard, said in an
fuck?
interview
This
that the
is
freak-off
insane.
included P. Diddy having sex with male escorts that his then girlfriend was forced to find.
Looking at this lawsuit, she alleges that, Diddy, he'll make her look online for BBCs for their freak-off sessions.
What the
And she
fuck?
say that, in this lawsuit that, Diddy, he enjoyed watching her get smashed by BBCs.
And she was searching for the big black, not only for herself, but for somebody else who we all know that was in the room with her. They had to be for both of them. They was in the room.
P. Diddy would make them wear masks to keep their identity from Casey.
What the
She
fuck?
also alleges that, while she was having sex
He
with
would
these
watch
male
dudes
prostitutes,
bang his girl.
her, the male prostitutes, and Diddy, they all wore
Bro,
masquerade.
Diddy is a fucking freak. What the fuck? I'm not here to sex shame, but like, dude, I do not understand how dudes can be okay or into that. Like that's gotta be the most humiliating thing on the fucking planet to watch other dudes smash your girl. Like, I don't understand where that, like, there's, is it a normal kink chat or am I tripping? Like, is that not like some fucking weird shit? I don't know.
He didn't want her to know who they were.
Which is why on March 25th, 2024, P. Diddy's homes in both LA and Miami were raided by the Department of Homeland Security investigations in New York. The raid was part of the investigation of sex trafficking led by the Southern District of New York, perhaps prompted by the now 5 victims
Yo,
who
what
had
up,
come forward,
Kato?
one of which was a male who also chose to remain anonymous.
Watching the P. Diddy.
Because of this, the investigators seized guns and P. Diddy's phone on the day of the raid. It was reported that over
Happy
1,000
birthday, bro.
bottles of baby oil and lubricant were found on the property.
1,000
This unusual
bottles
find
of
would be
baby
laughable if it
oil?
weren't so incriminating to the horrific charges. It only supported flying rumors of sex parties that would go on for days with drugged up women and male escorts, all performing sexual acts in the quote freak off to satisfy P. Diddy's endless need for lust. In the Los Angeles home, P. Diddy's sons were also put in handcuffs during the raid. It was reported by their mother that the federal agents used excessive,
That's
unnecessary
insane.
force and that it was just racially motivated. But it couldn't be any further from the truth. Everyone allegedly involved was being taken down, and over the coming months, the truth would unravel about how truly disturbing this Hollywood celebrity culture truly was. Now, P. Diddy's parties are known to be insane, as you can probably tell by the 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
It's
At these
27
parties, it was
now.
reported that the drugs
Yep.
offered were all designed so that party participants could go on for hours having sex. There was a drink called the Tusi, which was dosed with a bunch of drugs. Jaguar Wright explained this in an interview, as she said that P. Diddy would put in Special K, also known as ketamine, to relax your muscles.
Now, if you don't know what ketamine is what they call on the street Special K.
It's a veterinary drug. It's a horse tranquilizer.
Ketamine is crazy.
This was then mixed with cocaine and Viagra to counteract the negative side effects of limp noodle, as Jaguar
Ketamine,
described it,
coke,
creating
and
the perfect mix to
Viagra?
relax you while still keeping you completely energized for sex.
The cocaine keep you up all night, but unfortunately, it gives you limp noodle because of what the blood flow is. So you wants to fuck with a half-hard dick all night. So that's why you have the Viagra to make sure that the dick involuntarily stays hard while you're numbing your fucking self with the coke.
Jamie Foxx even said that he'd been to one of these parties, and is very likely that most people in the celebrity LA Hollywood culture would be partaking in this stuff, especially with the recent allegations coming forward in the last couple of weeks. And it's truly disturbing to think what was happening there. Recently, a video was shown by CNN of P. Diddy assaulting Casey, which further supported her claims. The video shows her trying to leave the hotel party, and P. Diddy had already given her a black eye by this point. In the video, P. Diddy's wearing nothing but a towel, and as he catches up to her, he violently pushes her down, then proceeds to kick her twice and tries to drag her down the hall. The footage shows further abuse when he throws a bunch of glass in her direction. It's obvious that he's very intoxicated at the time, having just emerged from one of these awful parties. After this footage went public, P. Diddy posted an apology saying he was disgusted with himself when it happened, and that he's disgusted with himself now.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you gotta do that. I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted.
I actually saw
was disgusted
that video.
then when I did it. I'm disgusted now.
He claimed that he sought help and went to rehab after the incident.
I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry.
Yo,
I'm committed to be a
leave
better
God
man
out of
each and
this.
every day. I'm not asking for
God
forgiveness.
is real.
I'm
He does
sorry.
not fuck
The
with
LA
you.
County District Attorney's Office
Satan.
also issued a statement saying that while the video was hard to watch, they could not use it for further action as the footage and incident happened beyond the timeline where it would be of legal use.
That's
However, they
crazy.
encouraged others to come forward. It was explained that P. Diddy paid the hotel $50,000 for the footage so that it would not be leaked to the public. The sad reality is that this is the only incident caught on surveillance and actually exposed to the public. However, Casey's lawsuit was riddled with far more horrific accusations.
That
God
girl
damn.
went through some tumultural shit that she never thought that she would ever have to go through being in the music business.
She claimed that P. Diddy would go into fits of rage and that she was his main target of savage beatings.
They went into
That's
the
so
bedroom
sad.
and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out to safety.
She claimed that he would drug her and force her to have sex with other men while he watched, filmed, and masturbated to it. This has
What
since
the
been dubbed as a
fuck?
freak-off, and as we've mentioned, it's come up in many other accusations as well. She also claimed to try to leave him in 2018, which ended up with her getting odd. Casey also claimed that for a brief time she and Kid Cudi started a romantic relationship, but when P. Diddy found out about it, he threatened to set his car on fire and wanted to make sure that Kid Cudi was there when it happened. While it seemed like an idle threat, it did indeed happen. 2 weeks later, Kid Cudi's car was deliberately set alight.
Kid
As for
Cudi.
P. Diddy, this footage
Kid
of the abuse could
Cudi's-
not have come at a worse
Kid
time. He was
Cudi.
already being investigated, adding fuel to the fire. Women were coming forward with further accusations, and even men like the Michigan inmate Derek Lee Smith sued P. Diddy for $100 million and won by default. It seemed that P. Diddy didn't even show up to defend himself for this one. In Derek's suit, he claimed that while at a party in Detroit in 1997, he was a victim of groping and sexual assault by P. Diddy. And once these accusations started coming forward, people started realizing that P. Diddy
Damn!
was
He
just the
didn't
tip
fight
of a
back
giant
on a
iceberg of a
$100
huge
million
Hollywood
lawsuit, and he knew he was so cooked he didn't even fight back. He just paid it out. $100 million.
conspiracy. You see, Eminem, who's known to rap out his opinions, recently dropped a
That's
line in his
nuts.
Kill Shot diss track, mainly aimed at Machine Gun Kelly,
Recently?
that brought up the possibility
He said he recently dropped a line 6 years ago.
of
It's
P.
over
Diddy's
for
involvement
Diddy.
in
No, for
Tupac's
real.
murder. The line that had fans reeling went, "Kel was the day you put out hits."
Bro, I've literally known that Diddy put out the hit on Pac. Bro, Diddy got Tupac killed, and that's a fact. And Biggie.
the day Diddy admits that he put the hits
Yes,
out
he
that
did
got
it.
Tupac killed, which was then followed by "I'm just playing Diddy, you know I love you," and many share Eminem's suspicions, although there has been no real proof of it. It is possible that Eminem is not holding back as P. Diddy's record company Bad Boy Records is funding MGK, who was gunning for Eminem, but Eminem didn't stop there. In other songs like Antichrist, he brings up the video of P. Diddy and Casey and makes fun of possible reasons for P. Diddy to chase Casey. In another song, Fuel, he brings up the lawsuit and insinuates that P. Diddy tried to have Tupac's alleged murderer killed. In another song, Bad One, Eminem raps about P. Diddy possibly blowing up Kid Cudi's car. It hit such a nerve that P. Diddy demanded a public apology from Eminem. He believed that the rapper had gone way too far and was doing more damage to his reputation in light of the new developments. Well, he's not wrong, because Eminem's fanbase outnumbers any other rapper, and they tend to be loyal and hang on to their every word. Especially when it comes to the disturbing life behind the scenes in the music industry and Hollywood world, people trust that Eminem isn't just making this up. All these allegations seem to stem from a time when P. Diddy came off as a powerful icon in the industry. This speaks to the intimidation and manipulations used to keep all those people quiet. In 1999, certain testimonies indicate that P. Diddy got away with a shootout in a club. At the same time, P. Diddy and his then girlfriend J. Lo went to the club and got into an altercation with Matthew Scar Allen. P. Diddy knocked a drink out of Matthew's hand, which sparked the violence, where P. Diddy threw money in his face as a sign of disrespect. As it got heated, both of them drew their guns and fired into the crowd. 3 victims survived to tell the tale, but one victim in particular stands out. Now, Tanya Rubin reports that she saw P. Diddy do the shooting while Sheen shot into the ceiling. She herself was shot in the face, and her testimony has not wavered since.
I watched them both fire their guns. I watched them. And that is exactly how I sit here today. Because some thug criminal with an attitude and an ego that was outside of control decided he was going to fire a gun in a crowded nightclub and shot me in my face.
She was so adamant about it that she offered to get bullet fragments removed from her skull to use as forensic evidence. However, P. Diddy was once again acquitted, with Shane taking the fall, being sentenced to 10 years in prison. Pulling the strings behind the scenes once again, and P. Diddy got away scot-free. This was even brought up in Rodney's suit, as P. Diddy would tell him that he even got away with shooting people and would display his guns to instill fear to keep Rodney silent and compliant. The more we uncover about P. Diddy's life, the more these testimonies start to line up a very dark picture of what it takes to actually succeed in the celebrity culture, and how truly powerful the people pulling the strings really are. P. Diddy just seems to be the tip of the iceberg. Just one guy who was so clumsy, made so many obvious mistakes, and became so hated by the industry that he's finally now being exposed. But who knows how many other people are out there doing the exact same thing or even worse. But soon another 2 victims would come forward. This time the model Crystal McKinney, who claimed she met P. Diddy in 2003 at a fashion event. He found her attractive and offered to help her with her career, and once he had her at his studio, he gave her alcohol and offered her laced marijuana, stating, "You've never had weed like this before." Quickly, she was very intoxicated. And P. Diddy took her into a bathroom and forced her to perform some certain acts. Later on,
I saw another different video about P. Diddy before this, and it was talking about how he was close with both Biggie and Tupac, and the owner of Bad Boy Records, which he didn't create but now CEO of. And back then it was P. Diddy and Tupac were like the 2 really popular rappers coming up. But then Biggie came out of nowhere, and he got like a lot of, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm telling the story super correct, but it's close. And he got a lot of recognition, and they kind of forgot about Diddy as much, and it was Tupac and Biggie, who was better. They were going back and forth. And apparently Diddy was friends with both of them and both their crews, and apparently set up and orchestrated and was at least part of both the hits that got 2 of those guys killed. And when they got killed, he was like, "Oh my God, my brother Tupac's dead, my friend Biggie's dead," and he kind of absorbed their fame. He kind of used their legacy and careers to launch his even farther. And he became a producer, and then a rapper, and then he was in movies, and then he had his own record label, and it was the record label that had Biggie and Tupac signed to it, if I'm remembering correctly. And so he's got this legendary label now that he owns, and then he made rappers and artists and models and actors do all these different things to, be a part of his label and to, get help in the industry. And then he got all these connections and had all these crazy parties and got blackmail on people, stuff like that.
She woke up in a cab,
Kind
but
of his
luckily remembered
rise.
what had happened, and she kept her clothes in plastic if they were ever needed for forensics. But because of his power, she only filed the lawsuit in May of 2024. April Lamprose is another victim of a much older but longer case. In 1994, she would meet P. Diddy, as he offered to mentor her in pursuing a fashion career. However, this would turn into a lawsuit of 4 incidents where P. Diddy would sexually assault her over the next 6 or 7 years. If she refused his advances, he would go berserk, which almost made her feel obliged. P. Diddy then taped it all without her knowledge and had shown these clips to others. She felt like he had the power to ruin her career in an instant, so she always had to be careful. After a few years, she bumped into him again. This time he apologized for his behavior, but then fell straight back into his old tricks to lure her in. The indictment revealed that P. Diddy also threatened his victims, including by threatening to expose the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of freak-offs, if the woman didn't comply with his demands. Kidnapping, also one of the charges, was briefly mentioned in a joking manner in a Conan interview with P. Diddy, where he says, quote, "I don't know if you guys have noticed this, a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave. You need locks on the doors." And while the crowd laughs at the time, it's only in hindsight did we realize how disturbing the statement truly was.
I don't know if guys have noticed this, like a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Which is why last week on September 16, 2024, P. Diddy was
blackmail.
finally
No, for
arrested
real.
at a hotel in Manhattan on charges
And
of
then
sex trafficking, racketeering,
favors from
conspiracy,
them
and
with the
transportation to
blackmail,
engage in
this.
prostitution. His lawyers claimed he intended to hand himself in, but wasn't awarded the chance. He also claimed that he had handed over his passport, but it was cleverly worded as he had only handed it over to his lawyer, not the federal government. The reason this is important is because he was trying to show that he was not a flight risk, and therefore able to be released on bail. If P. Diddy did try to leave the country, it would turn into a nightmare of trying to get him back. However, his lawyer would have discouraged this. Still, it didn't matter because the judge denied his bail. His lawyer then appealed bail on the 18th of September, offering $50 million, which was again denied. And P. Diddy is now facing up to life in prison should he be
They denied $50 million bail. Yeah, he's cooked.
convicted of the long list of charges, including forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. P. Diddy and his team tried to silence many witnesses with bribes, but while his life went from expensive cars and parties with some of the most rich and famous pop stars in mansions and hotels, he's now confined to 4 walls of a prison cell, waking people up to how disturbing this Hollywood industry truly is. It's also known that the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where he's currently being detained, is known to be hell on earth. It's the same prison that housed R. Kelly, who faced very similar charges, and Mr. Jeffrey was also a former inmate before he was found dead. Since the second appeal of bail was denied, P. Diddy has been put on an S-watch. His lawyers have said that they will fight this with all they have, as they believe he's innocent. But it's believed that the defense attorneys have an airtight case and are very confident that their investigation findings will secure a guilty verdict. Regardless of the outcome, his career is completely over. He's been exposed for all the vile stuff, and now the truth just seems to keep on unraveling. All his business colleagues and former friends have done everything they can to distance themselves from him. It appears that Usher's deleted a bunch of tweets to get some distance, and even though he claims he didn't do this, it does seem very suspicious and nobody really believes him. But many celebrities are too scared to even speak out against P. Diddy, and some might fear the footage the feds have that could implicate them. It's been reported that Justin Bieber is so shocked by the crimes of P. Diddy that he's unwilling to talk about it. And after all the videos of him and Justin Bieber have surfaced back online, it's said that Justin's completely shut down. And you can only imagine some awful things have happened behind the scenes that we'll never truly know about. Justin, who once looked up to and admired the music mogul, now regrets collaborating with P. Diddy on his latest album, and there's probably way more to it than just that. More information has also been leaked about how P. Diddy funded Bad Boy Records by drugging his guests with food and drinks and then filming orgies to blackmail the elite's high-profile guests. Castle Black made the claim, and said he had been waiting to come out with the truth about his knowledge of the matter. But no matter what, this entire scandal should really highlight how disturbing the celebrity world really is, how there's power brokers pulling strings behind the scenes, controlling everyone in the industry, and if you don't fall in line, you can easily be blackmailed, which makes it so that it's almost impossible to know what's really going on. But with more clues like this, people are starting to wake up to how truly awful the celebrity industry truly is.
That's fucking